News in 5.
News and developments making headlines around the world in 5 minutes.
World News in 5.
Here on Radyo Pilipinas Worldwide.
This is World News in 5 here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has ordered the country's military to accelerate preparations for war in order to counter what he called anti-North Korean confrontation moves of the United States and its vassal forces. Speaking at a plenary meeting in Pyongyang, Kim ordered the military, the munitions industry, as well as the nuclear weapons and civil defense sectors to further accelerate war preparations, citing the grave political and military situation in the Korean Peninsula has reached its extreme. State-run KCNA also reported that Kim pushed for Pyongyang's expansion and development of a strategic cooperation with anti-imperialist independent countries in a bid to dynamically wage the anti-imperialist joint action and struggle on an international scale under the rapidly changing world of geopolitics. Tensions in the Korean Peninsula have been increasing in the past years as the North continues its missile and nuclear programs while the South in response bolsters its military cooperation with the United States and Japan. The two Koreas remain technically at war as their last conflict in the 1950s ended in a truce, not a treaty. Meanwhile, amid ongoing tensions in the region, South Korea staged a rare defense drill in the capital Seoul on Wednesday, which simulates a response to a North Korean attack. Local reports say the drills aim to abate fears of North Korean attacks at the country's heart due to its proximity to the border.
World News in 5.
Here on Radyo Pilipinas Worldwide.
In our news overseas, United States President Joe Biden defended Washington's airstrikes in Iraq early this week, saying the offensives were aimed to deter Iran and Iran-aligned militia groups from conducting or supporting attacks on American personnel and facilities. In a letter sent to the top leaders of the U.S. Congress, Biden explained that the U.S. airstrikes on Iraqi military positions on Monday were intended to degrade and disrupt the ongoing series of attacks against the United States and its partners. Early on Monday, a one-way drone attack targeted a U.S. base in the Iraqi city of Erbil, causing a blast that left one U.S. service member in critical condition and wounding two others. Biden stressed that the U.S. stands ready to take further action as necessary and appropriate to address further threats or attacks. On Tuesday, Iraq's government condemned the U.S. airstrikes on Iraqi military positions that it said an unacceptable violation of Iraqi sovereignty. The government also condemned the attacks of armed groups against military bases hosting U.S.-led coalition advisors, describing them as hostile acts and violate Iraqi sovereignty. Since the start of the Israeli-Hamas war in Gaza in October, Iran-aligned groups have increased their attacks against U.S. bases and facilities in Iraq and Syria as they hold Washington responsible due to its support for Israel. In response, Washington strengthened its presence in the region and launched several retaliatory strikes against Iranian-backed militias in the two Gulf countries.
World News in 5.
Here on Radyo Pilipinas Worldwide.
For Philippine Embassy and Consular News, the Philippines recently hosted the first ever celebration of World Basketball Day at the United Nations in New York with a roundtable discussion on basketball and peace featuring NBA legend Julius Dr. J. Irving. Speaking at the event, Ambassador and Deputy Permanent Representative Ariel Rodelas Peñaranda said that basketball transcending borders, cultures, and languages has emerged as a unifying force globally. The roundtable discussion was also attended by Mr. John Doleva, President and CEO of the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, Professor David Hollander of New York University and author of the book How Basketball Can Save the World, and representatives from the National Basketball Association or NBA, YMCA, and UN member states. The roundtable discussion followed the adoption of the UN General Assembly on August 25, 2023 of a resolution proclaiming December 21 as World Basketball Day. The resolution, co-sponsored by 77 countries, was also initiated by the Philippines with main co-sponsors Indonesia, Nicaragua, and Peru. The resolution accorded basketball the first team sport to be recognized by the United Nations with its own International Day. The historic resolution recognizes basketball's global presence and its impact in commerce, peace, and diplomacy. It celebrates the sport's power to unite people, transcend cultural barriers, and foster a spirit of cooperation. Peñaranda emphasized that in the Philippines, basketball is not just a sport as it is embedded in the country's national identity. He added that on the historic adoption of the World Basketball Day resolution at the UN, games for the 2023 FIBA World Cup of Basketball also went underway in 3 major cities in Asia, which are in Manila, Jakarta, and Tokyo.
World News in 5.
Here on Radyo Pilipinas Worldwide.
You just heard World News in 5 here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This is Win Peñano. Good day.
World News in 5.
News and developments making headlines around the world in 5 minutes.
World News in 5.
Here on Radyo Pilipinas Worldwide.